to the Benzano podcast, where we're calling a spade a spade. Great to be here with you guys today. What the heck is going on? What a Wednesday it has been over the last 7-8 hours. Caitlin Clark dropping a new colorway, showing us
Capitol Hill is stepping in, pressing the WNBA for answers, and the Indiana Fever jumped into a conversation that was never even directed at them.
At Caitlin Clark's new yellow colorway of the Nike Caitlin 1. These are 10 zillion times better than the blue and whites. They pop more. They look more unique. They look crispier. Much better than the blue and whites. To me, this should have been the first colorway.
Before diving into the political firestorm, let's settle one thing first. The yellow colorway wins, no debate. At $140 during the holiday season, Nike priced it aggressively, well below the $185 competition and nowhere near the $210 Jordan territory. And dropping it the exact same day the congressional letter story blew up? That is calculated brand strategy, not coincidence. But the sneaker conversation is the simple part. The real issue, the one that should genuinely concern people, is how the Fever are handling Caitlin Clark's body and workload, and why congressional involvement has become the inevitable result of a much deeper problem.
Put out a video of Caitlin Clark gearing up for today's game against the LA Sparks. So she's got a yellow colorway against the LA Sparks. I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying it's interesting, the timing, right?
There it is. Eli Boston sits tonight. Caitlin Clark sits tomorrow. They rotate, they manage, they keep it neat and tidy. And if you are a fan who bought a ticket to either of those games specifically to watch your favorite player, you just got the short end of that deal with absolutely nothing you can do about it.
Want to buy tickets to a game not knowing if your favorite player is going to play, or if the team is going to have her load manage, or she's going to load manage. You don't want to do that as a fan. You don't want to do that. I've used the example numerous times. The Lakers were coming to Brooklyn to play the Nets. I was getting ready to hit purchase. This is like 5, 6, 7 years ago. This is a long time ago. I was getting ready to hit purchase on a ticket sale. I said, you know what? Let me just make sure that none of these guys are load managing. I open up the ESPN app. I come to find out LeBron's load managing, Anthony Davis load managing. It just left a bad taste in my mouth. It just left a bad taste in my mouth. And as a fan, I hate even having to be cognizant of a player that
The LeBron James and Anthony Davis story is one almost every NBA fan who bought tickets during that era knows personally. You check the app at the last second because painful experience has taught you that you simply cannot trust the schedule anymore. That is what load management has done to the fan relationship with professional basketball. It has trained people to distrust the very product they are paying good money to see. Now take that frustration and multiply it by the fact that we are talking about Caitlin Clark, arguably the single biggest draw in women's basketball history, a player who has moved the needle on WNBA ratings, attendance, and media coverage in a way nobody else has managed in decades. When you load manage that player, you are not simply resting an athlete. You are pulling the one card that brought an entirely new audience to the table. And that is a business decision with consequences that reach far beyond a single game.
Load management. This is what they fired Scott Agnes for. In case you guys aren't aware, this is what they fired Scott Agnes for.
Aaliyah Boston was obviously listed as questionable yesterday. How did she feel through shoot around, and do you have an update on her status for tonight?
Yeah, she just did some of the shooting. She's going to be out tonight. Again with a back-to-back. And Caitlin a back-to-back. Caitlin's going to be active tonight. AB's not, and then they'll flip-flop tomorrow night.
What key has been
They're load managing.
Scott Agnes was fired. That matters. The organizational memory of what happens when you mismanage these stars is right there inside that building. And yet here we are watching the exact same pattern play out under a different coach. The question nobody in the Fever front office seems willing to answer publicly is simple. If load management was a fireable offense before, why is it suddenly the policy now? And that is precisely the kind of question that Congress has started asking.
Huge Clark supporter, but even for me, this act is getting exhausting. Hey, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you. So if you guys aren't aware by now, I talked about this on the Quick Hits channel.
Getting exhausting. And that is coming from a Clark supporter, not a critic looking for reasons to pile on, but someone who has been in her corner from the very beginning. When your own base starts saying the act is getting exhausting, that is not a signal to dismiss. That is a signal to actually pay attention to. 3 seasons of watching her get hammered on the court, dealing with injuries, and now sitting out games back-to-back in a season where congressional representatives are filing letters about player safety. That is a compounding frustration, and every bit of it is earned.
Asking answers from the WNBA. They're asking answers from Kathy Engelbert. They penned a letter to Kathy Engelbert, and Chloe Peterson, being the mouthpiece for the Fever, Chloe Peterson has put out a Fever statement regarding that letter. Quote, "Our organization nor Caitlin have had any interaction with anyone in this congressional group, and we were unaware of their letter. We have been clear in our public comments and in our ongoing dialogue with the league about the priority of player safety. Our players and our fans know where we stand on those issues, and we will continue to stick up for our team and a standard of..."
Congress sent a letter directly to WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, not to the Indiana Fever, not to Stephanie White, but to Engelbert specifically, demanding answers about player safety and the pattern of physical play directed at Caitlin Clark over the last 3 years. That letter was addressed to the league office because the league office is the entity with the authority and responsibility to set officiating standards, enforce flagrant foul rules, and define what level of physicality is acceptable. The Fever were not the target. They were not named. They were not asked to respond.
Now, our organization nor Caitlin have had any interaction with anyone in this congressional group. They didn't even mention you in this letter, Indiana Fever. They didn't even mention your team. They didn't even say Caitlin Clark, a player for the Indiana Fever. They didn't even mention your team, yet you felt the need to chime in. Secondly, they want answers from Kathy Engelbert. Why are they going to reach out to you? Why are they going to ask you anything?
Read that statement one more time. It begins by saying that neither the organization nor Caitlin had any contact with anyone in that congressional group and that they had no idea the letter even existed. That opening sentence comes from an organization that willingly stepped into a federal-level inquiry it was never involved in. If they truly did not know about the letter and never spoke with the group, then they also admitted this statement was released because of public pressure instead of any direct request, which naturally leads to the next question. What are they trying to get out in front of? The rest of the statement mentions ongoing talks with the league, puts player safety first, and says it supports a high standard of excellence. Those lines sound important, but never explain anything. What discussions took place? When did they happen? Which standards were actually enforced, and what changed because of them? These are not just talking points. They are the same questions fans have been asking throughout the past 3 seasons.
Stephanie White saying one time in a post-game press conference that she's not happy. Our players and our fans know where we stand on those issues, and we will continue to stick up for our team and a standard of excellence across the league. I'd argue a lot of fans don't know where you stand on those issues because we don't hear from you. We don't hear from you at all. It probably would have been a good idea for the Fever organization and coaching staff to make more of an effort to publicly stand up for Caitlin. For 3 years, people have watched Caitlin get hammered on the court in the name of physicality. That's true. For 3 years, we've been watching it. No, we don't. We absolutely don't know where you stand.
Interview 9. There is a clear pattern in the way the Fever have dealt with the controversy over Clark's treatment on the court. They speak up only when outside pressure grows too strong to ignore, then become quiet again once that pressure fades. During the smear campaign, the organization stayed silent for 2 weeks. After the fist-to-the-throat incident, there was no response. But when Congress sent a letter to the league office, the Fever's communications team released a statement within hours. Those response times are not a coincidence. They show what the organization is truly concerned about, and they reveal where the real pressure for accountability is coming from. Fans who have watched this unfold over the past 3 years are not mistaken for noticing the pattern. They have been paying attention to what receives a response and what does not, and the difference is clear. Outside political pressure gets action, while frustration from loyal fans often does not.
Load managing Caitlin Clark for the rest of the season. Now, Stephanie White didn't say for the rest of the season. I'm just putting 2 and 2 together. She's on load management. We have Congress, as I'm sure we've all seen by now, demanding answers from the WNBA, demanding answers from Kathy Engelbert, demanding answers from Kathy Engelbert, demanding answers from the WNBA. Yet the Indiana Fever, I don't know if it's a guilty conscience. I'm not sure what it is. The Indiana Fever felt the need to respond.
Load management had already become a major issue in the NBA long before it reached the WNBA. The reason it sparks so much frustration goes beyond a single game. It comes down to the unspoken agreement between a league and its fans. When people buy a ticket, they reasonably expect the players on the roster to take the court. Load management breaks that expectation without offering compensation, giving advance notice, or providing real accountability when fans do not get what they paid for. In Major League Baseball, fans can enjoy a 162-game season while following their favorite team and players all summer. In football, every game matters so much that resting a healthy player is rarely considered. The NBA, and now the WNBA, operate differently. Their regular seasons are longer. Many games carry less urgency because of the playoff format, and teams believe limiting minutes now helps keep players healthy for the postseason. That thinking makes sense from an organizational point of view. But for the fan who drove 2 hours and spent $400 to watch a favorite player, that reasoning quickly falls apart before the trip back home is even over.
Thought in Major League Baseball, you have the impression that unless he's a DH, but DH is hit every day now. So you have the impression that you're going to watch your favorite player every single game 162 times out of the year, barring he's staying healthy. There might be 3-4 games out of the year where they put somebody else in so he can get a day off because they actually play 7 games in 9 days, 7 games in 8 days. But you don't get that. You don't get this in football. You only get this in the NBA and the WNBA. I hate load managing. I'm adamantly against load managing. Adamantly against it. Ridiculous. Either you can play or can't. This load management bullshit is soft, and I don't think it's the player's decision. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. This coach is incompetent. Yeah, I'm not. This organization landed back-to-back #1 picks and have done nothing but failed to build around them, failed to get them a coach who knows how to maximize them as a duo, and failed to keep them injury-free. Nothing but constant injuries for CC since Stephanie White became coach.
This is the point that matters the most because it brings the question of competence into focus. The Fever ended up with back-to-back #1 overall draft picks, and that is something very few franchises ever experience. The chances of landing a generational talent with the top pick even once are extremely small, and doing it in consecutive drafts gives an organization a rare opportunity that almost no one else in the league has enjoyed. At this stage, it is difficult to make a strong case that the team has made the most of that opportunity. There have been repeated injuries, a coaching change that failed to provide the stability it was expected to bring, and now a player safety controversy serious enough to attract attention from Congress. None of those issues are Caitlin Clark's responsibility. She has done everything expected of her by helping drive television ratings, boosting attendance, and becoming a major cultural figure. The problems have consistently come from the organization around her, including the on-court protection, the medical and training decisions, and the public support when she has been on the receiving end of actions that, in many other sports, could have resulted in significant fines and suspensions. The Fever were not responsible for every injury, but they were responsible for managing the circumstances surrounding those injuries, and the results speak for themselves. When Stephanie White said after a game that she was unhappy, that was not a campaign or meaningful advocacy. It was a single sentence, and claiming the team has been clear in its public comments should require much more than one brief remark in front of reporters who had already moved on.
I brought this up. You'd think the Fever were mentioned by name in that letter, the way they responded so quickly, right? What, a guilty conscience, perhaps? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. We got a new Caitlin Clark colorway. We have Aaliyah Boston out today. We have Caitlin Clark out tomorrow. We have the Congress demanding questions, and we have the Indiana Fever within a few hours responding to that letter. Remember, Stephanie White, fake news on the hot seat. They responded. Caitlin Clark smear campaign for 2 weeks. Quiet. Congress demanding questions.
Here is what the Fever's statement actually achieved. It reminded people who had not been following the story that Congress is now involved. It also reinforced the impression that the organization responds only after pressure builds instead of taking action first. Most importantly, it offered no new details about what the Fever are actually doing or plan to do to protect their most valuable player both on and off the court. The statement says, "We will continue to stand up for our team and uphold a standard of excellence across the league." That sounds like wording created by a public relations department. It is not the kind of language a coach or a player would naturally use. It is carefully written to sound like a strong commitment without promising any specific action. Fans who have followed this situation for the past 3 years are experienced enough to recognize the difference between a polished statement and a real policy.
Stephanie White, fake news on the hot seat. They responded. Caitlin Clark smear campaign for 2 weeks. Quiet. Congress demanding questions. They responded. Caitlin Clark getting a fist in the throat. Quiet. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video, have the video, and subscribe to the channel. That would mean so much to me.
So where does this situation go next? Congress sending a letter to a sports league commissioner is definitely significant, but it is not the same as passing legislation. The real pressure now falls on WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. The biggest question is whether the league's leadership will answer that pressure with meaningful changes to officiating standards and stronger enforcement of player protection, or if it will follow the familiar path of releasing a statement, recognizing the concerns, and waiting for the news cycle to fade away. If that is what happens, then the congressional letter will become another piece of evidence in the growing argument that the WNBA is not treating this issue seriously at an institutional level. Fans who have watched Caitlin Clark take repeated hits while seeing little action from the league will only become more frustrated. Eventually, that frustration carries a price. Television ratings, ticket sales, merchandise, and the economic momentum created during the Caitlin Clark era cannot depend on goodwill forever. The Fever now have to decide whether they want to help shape this moment or simply keep reacting to it. That decision has been waiting for 3 years, and the congressional letter is the strongest sign, yet that the opportunity will not remain open forever. So here is the question you should be thinking about after hearing all of this. Do you believe the WNBA and the Fever will actually make meaningful changes because of this congressional pressure, or will the story disappear within a couple of weeks like so many others before it? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you have been following the Caitlin Clark story for a while, I want to hear what you believe it will really take to create lasting change. Like this video if you think the league should be held accountable, and subscribe so you do not miss what happens next when Congress receives a response.